Hey, and welcome to the Forties Formula, your go-to place for insightful discussions on navigating the 40s and thriving in this transformative decade.
We're your hosts, Jasmin and Amanda, two women that are passionate about exploring the challenges and adventures that come with turning 40 and what lies ahead.
Today we're diving into the world of holistic nutrition and the transformative power of real food and lifestyle choices. Our guest today, Riyana Rupani, is a holistic nutritionist with a deep passion for helping others create lasting changes through the choices they make in their diet and daily life. Riyana, a mother of three, has had her share of life's challenges. She spent over 15 years in the corporate world until her own health gave her a powerful wake-up call. Dealing with health issues such as PCOS, ulcerative colitis, and infertility, Riyana discovered the incredible potential of diet and lifestyle changes to turn her life around. She understands the unique pressures of balancing work, family, and self-care, and today she's here to share her insights and experiences. A true foodie, Riyana is also a recipe developer, food blogger, and the founder of Everyday, a range of flavor-forward products made from real food ingredients to elevate your daily meals. She works with individual clients, leads a global group called Clean in 15, and collaborates with corporations, restaurants, and brands to educate, promote awareness, and create healthy and delicious recipes. I am so excited with today's guest. We've got Riyana Rupani here, a fellow foodie and holistic nutritionist who is showing the world that eating healthy doesn't mean dry chicken and broccoli. Yes. Welcome, Riyana.
Thank you. I'm so excited to be here.
We're so excited to have you. So you spent more than 15 years in the corporate environment, and then something happened. What was it?
I spent most of my life working in finance. But during this time, during the whole process of me, doing the corporate thing, working hard, playing hard, supposedly doing all the right things, my body was kind of breaking down. I don't want to say I burnt out, but I did. I was basically burning out. And I was lucky enough and fortunate enough to make the realization that something wasn't right, that the pieces weren't fitting, and I was able to make a change. So, just to give you a little bit of background, I feel like I was always somebody who kind of suffered with different ailments and issues, but I didn't know that it was a problem because I continuously was told that, oh, this is normal, just take this pill or just do that. So, I had PCOS. I was diagnosed at 16 years old. In my 20s, I had ridiculously bad cystic acne, mood swings, etc. Again, I was told, take another pill. And then it came to in my 30s when I was trying to get pregnant and while I was still working in my corporate job, and that wasn't working. And again, doctors were really helpful and wonderful at helping me, deal with my symptoms, finally conceiving my first child, but none of them were able to tell me why. Why did I have PCOS? Why was I dealing with cystic acne? Why was I always moody? Why was I dealing with infertility? And that's what really got me started down the rabbit hole, with Dr. Google, just searching and researching and looking into, root causes and asking those questions. And it was from there that, it just started to point me into that direction of food and lifestyle. Yeah.
I feel like your story really resonates with me because I can see that what you've went through was exactly what I went through. You just wonder, why are my periods so bad? And your doctor's telling you, oh, it's okay, it's normal, it happens to some people. And then wondering, why am I not getting pregnant? Why are all these things happening to me? And then obviously, like you mentioned, Dr. Google. And they say that curiosity killed a cat. I feel like it saved this cat.
I agree. There is something you can say you can dive a little bit too deep, but with this, same for me. It totally saved my life.
Yeah. And, my husband and I run Lift Clinic, which is like a medical wellness clinic here in Singapore. And we always say that just because something is normal or in range doesn't mean it's optimal. And I think when I'm in my 40s, right, I am all about living optimally and getting to that next level. So just because something's normal, that's not okay enough for me.
Exactly.
I need it to be its best.
Yeah.
But is having messed up periods normal? I feel like that is not normal, right?
So that's the other thing, right? And now even, I do meet like a lot of young ladies and they're like, oh yeah, I get it maybe once every other month or I don't know when the last time it was. And I always say your period is like your fifth vital sign for women, right? Mm-hmm. That clock, that rhythm means things are working the way they need to. And I always say, just because, or I've heard this and now I say, just because something is common, it doesn't mean it's normal. And that's what we're confusing with, because it's very common to have irregular periods. It's very common for women to have to deal with, terrible perimenopause symptoms. It's very common for us to, have mood swings, etc. And we're told, it's just because you're a woman. That's, it's part of life. It's not. It's common, but it's not.
I feel like if it was men going through this, they would have figured it out ages ago. But because it's women, it's like, no, it's fine.
Another thing to deal with.
Exactly. And even so many of these studies that people keep quoting this study and that study and whatnot, more than 80% of them are not even conducted on women because of our fluctuating hormones.
Exactly.
So that's what I'm really hoping starts to change more. I mean, it is changing, but our fluctuating hormones are a beautiful thing, and they are complicated, and that's okay. We need to learn to understand that and work accordingly.
So you said you started to make changes. What type of changes did you make? And how did you feel it affected you when those changes were implemented?
Yeah, so I was always a foodie. I love delicious, yummy food. But I was never cooking it myself. So, my mom even used to tease me that you're going to become like a taste tester, or you're going to, go to restaurants and review restaurants and whatnot. So yeah, I loved food. And then the biggest change was taking food into my own hands and starting to prepare it myself for the most part. I still completely enjoy dining out and indulging and whatnot, but really understanding what was going into my food was a really big switch.
Hey, Amanda, what's more challenging than finding good quality, nutritious food for your family?
Probably juggling life in your 40s.
Okay, yes, you're right there. But do you know how you can make it a whole lot easier? The Meat Club.
The Meat Club is your premier online source for top quality Australian and New Zealand produce here in Singapore.
I love their subscription model. It's an easy way to get high quality protein delivered direct to my door.
It's packed at the source and delivered via an unbroken cold chain, so no middlemen and more savings in really good quality meat.
And guess what? We've got a special treat for our listeners. As a first-time customer of the Meat Club, you can save yourself $12 with no minimum spend. Just use code TFF12 on their website. That's www.themeatclub.com.sg.
And don't forget to give them a follow on Instagram at TheMeatClubSG. That's TheMeatClubSG for recipes, updates, and great offers.
Now back to the show.
I think the other big switch in regards to my diet that I made was I was always following like a low-calorie, low-fat diet. And I know there are a lot of women out there who feel the same or were or still are doing the same, where, they're told, or they grew up in that generation of thinking fat is going to make them fat and you need to stick within a 1,200 calorie diet, etc. So the second I kind of was like, okay, I'm going to bite the bullet and throw out the calorie counter and just kind of focus on my intuition and go with it. It was like, wow, like life-changing.
I love that. I mean, I think you're absolutely right that so many women spend decades trapped in that kind of less is more mentality. And I think maybe that is one of the things that's so freeing in our 40s, is that it's like, no, actually more is more. More muscle is more.
Yes.
Better digestion is more. Pooping every day, that's more. So, if you don't eat enough to actually formulate a poop, that is definitely a problem.
Yeah. It's like all of these extremes that we get stuck in. And even now, to be honest, like, you often find that certain macronutrients are kind of demonized, like there's the good and the bad, and it doesn't exist. There is no good and bad. There is a balance, and understanding your body and understanding how to incorporate the right amount for you. So, before it was fat was bad, now it's carbs are bad. Before you know it, I mean, it's already kind of coming out with the whole carnivore philosophy. You have haters saying, too much protein is bad. It's bad for your kidneys. So yes, anything in extreme.
And plants are bad because they're going to kill you.
Yes, exactly.
Plants are poison.
I mean, anything in extreme, whether it's a good food, there's no good and bad food, but anything in extreme is not going to be optimal.
It's funny you say that because today, I mean, I've got 2 monitors on my arm. You can see I've got a glucose monitor and a ketone monitor. And my boys were really intrigued and they were like, Mummy, which one's the good one? Which one's the bad one? And I had to explain to them that both of them are good and both of them can be bad. Like, there's no good and bad in, one sense. It's not that I need to, have my glucose completely flat and my ketones skyrocketing. Any extreme on either of them can be bad. And both of them can be good. Like, your body needs to utilize both. And I think people always think of me as the keto person. I started off that way, but it doesn't mean that is my method now. And that's how I help my clients. I help them understand sort of metabolic flexibility. And as carnivores, there are certain things we need. Omnivores. Omnivores. As omnivores, there are certain things that we need to eat. That means, nourishing your body with the right amount of protein and eating plants and things like that. So how do you sort of get around sort of food challenges with your clients?
Oh, that's a tough one because, right, so I work with men, but I do work with predominantly women. And you come in with so many preconceived notions and so many fears. You kind of cling on to food is emotional as well, right? I mean, let's just say it, food is there to provide us comfort. It is there to bring us together, whether it's socially as a family, and it needs to be embraced and it needs to be celebrated. So a lot of times when I do work with clients, they're very worried that I'm going to take away their favorite foods, that I'm going to put them on this bland and boring diet of, grilled chicken and steamed broccoli. So oftentimes what I do is, I tell them up front always, you got to trust me. You got to trust the process. You've come to me. You know a little bit about me. That's why you're coming to me. So just give me a chance. Give me 2 weeks. And I always, I make sure to tell them as well, right? Nutrition, holistic nutrition, it's not black and white. Right? It's about playing detective, figuring out your body and making those tweaks and changes along the way. And that's what I'm there for, to support you with, to help you make those tweaks and changes along the way. So once that you build that trust, and once they try the food, then you definitely find they're a lot more receptive.
Can you explain the concept of holistic nutrition as opposed to the traditional types of approaches that people use?
Yeah, so I think the biggest difference and the biggest confusion, I would say, is a lot of people think when they think of nutrition, they think of maybe perhaps like a dietitian. But what a holistic nutritionist does is they look at the body as a whole. So not just what you're eating. And I always say it's about not just what you eat, how you eat, when you eat, why you eat. So that's the whole food part of it. But then also understanding how our lifestyle and our mindset also plays a part. You go to a doctor sometimes, let's say you have a tummy upset, and you go to a gastro doctor and they look at just your digestion, right? Just your gut or just your stomach. But we all know, for example, that our stomach, our gut, is very much related and linked to our brain. So as a holistic nutritionist, we want to make sure we're looking at the body as a whole and not just targeting into one area because it's all connected.
I understand that like chronic cortisol levels being constantly elevated can really impact your body, in terms of like your digestion and all of that stuff. Now, some people may have sort of corporate careers or demanding lifestyles and demanding jobs. What sort of changes can they make, when like leaving their current lifestyle is not an option?
Yeah. this also was very much me. So I'm not telling anyone to do this, but when I left my job, I was scared, like nobody knew. And to the point where I did not even want to have the conversation with my boss at the time or anybody actually that I was working with, that I was feeling like this. And I feel like that being vocal and speaking up for yourself is step one, right? If you're feeling like your boundaries are being pushed constantly, we all have times that are going to be busy, etc. But if you constantly feel like you're, burning the candle at both ends, then speak up. Because what I found is the second I was able to speak up, my boss at that time, she was like, wow. She was like, I would never have even known that you were feeling like this. So I was fortunate enough. She was like, take a sabbatical, take some time off, figure things out if that's what you want. Don't quit. But having that, being able to just vocalize how you're feeling is a big step.
I was following a career and burnout recovery coach, and she was saying that let's call burnout what it is. It's exploitation, right? Burnout suggests that it's something that's happening to you that you have to deal with. Exploitation suggests that it's something that's wrong with the system, the environment that you're in, and that's what actually needs to change. And I think that shift in kind of what burnout is and how you treat it is really important.
Yeah. And I mean, for women in particular, right, we are people pleasers in a sense. We always do put ourselves last. So, the more demands that are put on us, we want to be able to fulfill it. So whether it is at work or with our family or with our friends. So that comes to like my second point for people who can't, make a career shift or quit their job or whatnot. Setting up those boundaries is really important. So learning how to say no, learning how to respect yourself and putting yourself first can play a huge role. So whether it is something as simple as, your girlfriends are going out and you being like, hey, I'm really tired. I'm going to stay in tonight. Like that's okay. And if they're your friends, they'll understand that. Or, telling your husband, you know what? I know we had plans to watch this Netflix show, but I'm really tired. I think I'm going to call it a night, by 10 p.m. Setting those boundaries for yourself can be huge.
I had a client just recently that one of her main struggles in exactly setting boundaries at work was that their work provides lunch most days. And it was often very unhealthy catering, think things like pizza, noodles, dumplings, whatever. And she really struggled with being able to assert herself in such a way to bring her own food into that environment. And I mean, I don't mean struggled like a couple days. I mean struggled for 6 months to be able to feel strong enough to march into her office with her own bag of food and eat it in front of her colleagues. And, for us, I think in this world, it's so easy. I wouldn't even think twice. I wouldn't have ever had the noodles because I would just walk in with my lunch. But there isn't a level of boundary setting and practice that it takes. And I think, reminding our clients, right, that it's not going to be the first time that it feels okay. You might walk in with the lunch and never take it out of your bag. And that's okay. That's the first step. Yeah. But eventually, you have to be able to assert what you want. Yeah. And I think that exactly like what you said, even with your own husband, right? Yeah. Like, no, I can't watch that Netflix show. I need to be in bed by 10.
Yeah. You have to do it. No one's going to take care of you. Mm-hmm. You have to take care of yourself. And even to that point with the lunch, I always tell women, especially like, if you're going out for lunch or you're going out for a dinner or whatnot, and you're feeling uncomfortable, like ordering off menu or ordering something different, most others are so self-concerned. They're so worried about themselves. They couldn't care less what you're eating or what you're, ordering or whatnot. But we're so worried that somene's going to judge us.
Yes. She's high maintenance. She asked for dressing on the side.
Yeah.
Nah, girl, I'm successful. I asked for what I want.
Exactly. Or I'm on a diet, because I'm choosing not to eat all the things and, whatnot. So even like, for a lot of my clients, they're like, oh, but I'm going out for dinner. What do I tell them? And I said, say you're trying something new. I'm trying to improve my health. I'm doing this for my well-being. I'm not stopping any of you from, eating whatever you want. But, this is something I'm doing for myself.
I always get that as well. Like people are like, oh my God, what's Jasmin going to eat? I'm like, don't worry about me. I will find something. And I still get that, oh, you're on the diet. You're on a diet. I'm like, I'm not on a diet. I've been eating this way like for the last 6 years now.
It's not a diet. It's a lifestyle.
Yeah. I feel like the three of us in this room are probably the least excitable. Like, people are dreading inviting us to the dinner parties. No one wants the nutritionist at their dinner party.
Well, it's so funny because some people are like, don't judge what I'm eating. And I'm like,
Yeah, I get that all
I
the
never
time.
do.
I know. I'm like, no judgment. I was like, don't judge me when you see me on Friday night, like having a big glass of wine
Sure.
and some sweet potato fries with my kids, because that happens too.
Yeah, or as a pregnant lady eating an oyster.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
you stop by DB Bistro, you gonna see me.
So what sort of stuff do you eat then?
I actually now, luckily, so there was a time that I had to be quite restrictive, I would say. So the other issue that I had, along with the PCOS and the cystic acne and the infertility, was autoimmune conditions. So I suffer from two autoimmune conditions, ulcerative colitis being one of them. I'm happy to say, though, that I am medication-free and have been in remission for about 5 years.
That's
amazing.
But in order to get there, I did have to restrict my diet
Sure.
quite a bit. So there was a point where I was eating absolutely no dairy, no grains. I was being extremely careful when I was eating out. I couldn't eat raw vegetables even at one point. But now I'm at a place where I can pretty much eat it all in moderation, in limitation. I'm happy to say that I can, listen to my body. I understand my body. So for the most part at home, I would say I eat predominantly whole food based. So I always say build your plate with the concept of VPF, lots of vegetables, good amount of protein, and then healthy fats. So that's my formula for building your plate.
Hashtag VPF, listener.
Monday through Thursday, I would say. And then on the weekends, I love to eat out. I love to try new restaurants. But yeah, I mean, they're definitely little like hacks and tricks that I like to throw in there when I am dining out. But whole foods, I would say.
100%. And I say that to my clients as well. I said, this is not forever. This is just while your body's adjusting. For anyone that's going on a weight loss journey, I guess it does get to the point where something has to give, whether you're restricting carbohydrates or you're restricting calories or you're restricting time. There's always something that you need to adjust in order to see results. But it's never forever, because you can play around with it and see then how your body reacts to something.
Yeah, it's the same as being on a fitness journey. It's like you don't have to, run. Like if you're training for a marathon, initially you have to run a lot because you need to develop your running fitness. But once you have your running fitness, you can actually scale back quite a bit and still be successful in a marathon distance. And it's like, I feel like people need to know that like the short-term interventions to get to a certain place are not the way that you need to maintain that place forever.
Yeah, I give the analogy of driving a car. When you first learn to drive a car, you're like, hands are at your 10. Yeah, you're checking your mirror. You can't have any music on. No one can talk to you, and you're just so focused on that road, right? And it's exhausting. So same thing when you are making diet changes, when you are implementing these, new ways of eating, or cleaning out your kitchen and cleaning out your pantry and starting fresh and learning a new way of eating. It's a heck of a lot of work. But for those of you who drive or ride a bike, even, let's say, now you got the music going, you got the kids yelling in the background, you got a friend or your husband in the car, you're chatting, you're able to do it kind of on autopilot. And that's what it will become. But yeah, you got to put in the effort to start before that autopilot can set in.
Not my husband. He cannot focus on driving. If the kids are in the car and I'm talking to him, he's going to snap. He's going to be like, can't do it. Just leave it alone. So I can't have a conversation with him in a car. Unless it's just us two, because I think the kids are the trigger.
Yeah, the X factor.
Yeah, the noise.
Is there anything that you absolutely do not eat or try to avoid as much as you can?
I would say mock meats, like the fake meats. I don't know. I grew up with a lot of vegetarians in my life, and it was something that I was exposed to a lot. And now it kills me. Like, and even things like, the Beyond and the incredible, meat replacements, etc. I'm always like, make a black bean burger, make a, there's so many better options out there, but these chemically produced, factory produced products just, yeah.
Well, thanks, Riyana. We've lost Beyond Meat as a sponsor. I'm totally kidding. No, there's 3 of a kind in here when it comes to consumption of fake meat.
Yeah, I feel like, if you want to eat more plant-based, then go ahead, eat more plants. But if you want to eat fake meat, just eat meat.
Sorry.
Yeah. Sorry, guys.
Yeah. I mean, there's so many great, I'm very plant forward, and there's so many great even for protein sources, or there are ways to work with, your lentils and legumes and whatnot to make them better for you and easier to digest, etc. Again, even tofu, soy, it's gotten a bad rap, but on this side of the world, I mean, we've been eating it forever. Yeah. So, there are definitely options out there where you don't have to turn to these, I don't know, Frankenfoods.
Frankenfoods. Oh, I like it.
I love that idea. So, like myself, you also have 3 boys, am I right? How do you get your kids to eat healthy? Do you struggle with that?
I do. Kids are kids, you know, but the one thing that I've kind of learned, and it's, again, similarly to like what I try to teach clients is you got to let your kids listen to their bodies, different, and they learn from example, right? So they'll see me and what I eat, and they might not be wanting to eat it now, but eventually I'm hoping that when you lead by example, they will kind of follow suit. So simple things, even though, having your kids listen to their body clock, eating when they're actually hungry, respecting when they say they're full, these are all kind of just small tweaks, letting them enjoy treats, when it is a weekend, when we are dining out, we like to do it. Why shouldn't they do it? But I feel like it's more about these small shifts than trying to get them to eat like a bowl of salad or broccoli and grilled chicken or whatever healthy means.
How old are your boys?
So, I've got 3 boys. My eldest one, Sumer, is about to turn 10 years old. My middle one, Sean, is going to be turning 8 very soon, and my youngest is 6.
Oh, wow. So, they're very much in growth stage, where it's like the bigger struggle for you is getting them to just eat enough.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. And that's the other thing, right? What's accessible at home? What am I filling my pantries with? What am I filling my fridge with? So when they do come home and they're like, because they come home and it's like the kitchen is just like mayhem, at 3:30 p.m. But they have what's available to them,
What do you stock your kitchen with? What are some go-tos that your boys love?
Greek yogurt, cheese, sliced meats, sausages. In the pantry section, we do a lot of dark chocolate rice crackers. Obviously, a lot of Foods by Ree crackers. Yeah. Sorry, it's every day now. Not
can we get some links for those dark chocolate crackers?
So a lot of
in the show notes.
Everyday crackers. But yeah, I mean, they'll do simple things like even like a simple sandwich, made with better bread, not sunshine bread. Sorry, you're going to lose them.
I'm telling you, girl, you're knocking off our sponsors.
I'm knocking them down one
or
by
Skippy
one.
peanut butter.
Oh, yeah. So, but nut butters is another great one. Yeah. Lots of fruit, lots of good nut butters. They love smoothies, so they now can make their own, smoothies.
I need to get my boys on to making their own.
Oh my gosh, smoothies are the godsend for kids because they think it is fun. You can put a bunch of stuff in it, and they,
and the protein.
Yes, and they can make it themselves because you're like, here is a blender.
Yeah.
That's wonderful.
So,
I like that you said that you let your kids go by their own sort of hunger cues, and when they're full, respect that. One of the things my husband actually said to me before we had kids was, don't force them, because he was never really a lover of food. It's all changed now. But growing up, he hated meal times. And he goes, that was such a stressful period for him, having to sit there and being told you have to finish your food. Because I guess we all come from that generation of don't waste your food. There are kids starving, which I understand. He goes, but that feeling of, oh my God, I have to eat again.
Sit here till the plate is empty.
And And so I was on the opposite end of the scale. I loved my food growing up. Still do. And I would eat my food and then my sisters. And, any moment I got, I felt like I was always hungry. So, I guess understanding that your kids do have different needs, and if someone doesn't want to eat, there's a reason they don't want to eat.
Yeah, and it's hard, right,
Yeah.
with kids.
Yeah. Growing up, I was the absolute worst. I wasn't a lover of food or a hater of food. I was the picky one. The really picky one. We would go to a barbecue, obviously very American. We'd go to a barbecue and I would have an empty bun and I would spread some mustard on it. And if I was hungry, I'd have a second bun. I mean, it was like zero food consumption.
But you ate mustard.
I ate mustard and bread, which is so bizarre, just skip the meat, skip the veg. But my parents never force fed me or made a whole big deal about how picky I was. They just kind of let it be. And fast forward to today, I'm hyper omnivorous. I mean, I'm the person who eats the intestines and the brains and whatever else. I posted the other day. The only thing I don't eat is balut. No offense to balut lovers out there.
I actually don't know what that is.
Oh, girl. It is a specialty in this part of the world.
How did I miss this? I've been here 11
loves
years.
it. When I travel to Vietnam, it's a common thing. It is a developed duck egg.
Oh, I know what you mean.
The duck fetus is you get a beak in there when you're enjoying balut. So that's a little bit past my palate. But what I'll say is, I think part of the reason that I do eat everything and why that switch flipped in me naturally when I became more of an adult is because my parents didn't go either way on it. They didn't push me. And, and they obviously would make sure that I was okay, take me to the doctor, make sure I don't have nutrient deficiencies, right? But they just didn't push it. And then when it was the right time, it happened.
Yeah.
And I think that message is powerful for parents.
And that's the other thing that I think parents need to remember is that your child isn't trying to torture you by not eating. There might be there might be something underlying, for sure. There could be, to your point, a nutritional deficiency. They could have something going on with their digestion, which is why maybe they're gravitating towards, easier to digest white foods, white pasta, white rice, white bread, etc. But, a lot of times we see now a lot of adults have a bad relationship with food. And, to your point, what you were saying, Jasmin, about your husband was so true. That starts when we're a kid. The last thing we want kids who are going to become teenagers, who are going to become adults, is feel like an anxiety around mealtime, right? It should be a time where they feel like they're relaxed. They can sit with their family or friends and they can have no judgment, with what they're eating or how they're eating, and that we respect that. So yeah, but with kids, yeah, it's hard. I sometimes even still find myself saying, come on, hurry up, finish. We gotta make the bus. We gotta do this. And then we have to remind ourselves, okay, it's okay. It's okay. They'll be fine. If they're starving or if they're really hungry, they'll eat.
Exactly that. And also just keep introducing certain foods. Like one of my sons, he does not eat vegetables. He's gotten better. He can now have a little bit of lettuce in a burger, but at least he's not picking it out anymore. Yeah. And it's just because I kept putting it in there. So I think he was just like, okay. But surprisingly, he loves olives. So I'm finding things that he likes. And I introduced to him cucumber with olive oil and salt. And he was like, ooh, I will eat cucumber if it's got olive oil and salt.
How Mediterranean of you, Jasmin.
I know.
Nice.
Check me out.
No, but the same thing. My eldest, he was the pickiest eater when he was, 2, 3, whatnot. And I was like, oh my God. I'm like, I'm such a foodie. I'm like, now he's about to turn 10, and out of the 3 boys, he's the most adventurous. He's willing to try it all. But I think a lot of it comes because he doesn't feel pressure. He does it when he wants and how he wants, and he knows if he likes it, great. And if he doesn't, I'm not going to force it down his throat.
Yeah, let it lie.
Yeah.
Amazing. Riyana, it's been absolutely incredible having you here. But before we finish off, we would like to ask you a final question, which is, what is your Forties formula? What sort of advice or wisdom would you like to share with our listeners about thriving in your 40s?
So I find being in your 40s is like a magical time because you really start to do things for yourself, I find, especially for us women. But I would say for me, the biggest non-negotiables and the biggest, advice that I would give to others who are either entering their 40s or are already in their 40s is to set boundaries, sleep, get a good night's sleep, find somebody you can talk to. So if that's a therapist or a friend or whatnot, having someone you can share with is really important. Focus on whole foods, not all of the time, but most of the time, and lift heavy things.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
I'm hearing it.
Yeah.
I love that last one. Exclamation point.
Yeah. So yeah, that's my 40s formula.
Amazing. We love it. And I feel like we're definitely behind that one.
100%.
Thank you, Riyana. It's been amazing.
Thank you.
Thank you
It's
so
been,
much.
It's been great to be here.
This is Paul, our editor.
He's a 25-year-old unmarried Singaporean guy listening to the ramblings of 12 older women on everything from menopause to weightlifting to sex.
Paul, what's your thoughts on today's conversation?
So for me personally, I'm actually in my 20s and I don't quite care or pay attention to my diet, I have to admit. So I just eat whatever I want, I guess. But I do acknowledge that having a good quality, diet and, it's beneficial for your health, I guess. So one thing I would say that I actually do enjoy is fake meats. Sometimes it's I wouldn't say it's a guilty pleasure, but it's just like, it's there, that kind of thing. And I'm just thinking from the perspective of, let's say, my vegan friends out there, like who would, for some of those people who would sometimes want to enjoy their meat cravings, I understand that these are mostly artificially produced meats from plant sources, like maybe, I don't know, I'm not sure if I'm allowed to say names because of sponsors, but let's just say if I'm vegan and I'm craving for something meat textured, what should I go for, besides just plain plants, I guess? So that's probably just an open question I have. Well, just food for thought, I guess. Catch you guys.
Hey guys, did you know that you can leave us questions and comments on FanList?
That's right. On fanlist.com/the40s formula, you can leave us a voice note where you can ask us anything, leave us your feedback, or just say hi. Nicola777 reached out to us and had this to say.
So I've just listened to the first two podcasts and I absolutely love them. I enjoyed the content about real women and real issues we face in our 40s. I love the flow of them, some very helpful insights and tips. Well done. I can't wait for the next one. I feel like I need more now. Lol. I need to binge listen to more.
Lol.
I was trying to work out.
I was like, I wonder what she is going to say there. I was like, I'm not sure what I would say.
Okay, sorry.
The 40s formula is proud to be your source for that realness, Nicola. Thanks for listening. Before we go, please remember to hit subscribe and take a moment to support the 40s formula by leaving a review on your favorite podcast platform.
Your reviews will help us to reach more people and allow us to continue to bring valuable content. It should only take a moment and it's a free way for you to support the show.
You can also stay updated with the 40s formula by following us on Instagram at the 40s formula, all one word. We share behind the scenes insights, episode updates, and much more. So please be sure to hit that follow button.
We appreciate your time and support. Thank you for being part of this community. And we'll be back next week for more empowering conversations with inspiring guests.
Bye.
You get what you get for a reason.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I love my daughter, but she is my hard one for sure so far. I mean, again, I only have the two, but yeah, she's definitely harder.
Yeah. I see some of my friends who have, again, girls who are, in this 10-year-old range and whatnot. And I'm like,
10
it
is
scares
tough.
me.
10 is
drama. I was like, oh my God.
Yeah.
They're like sassy and
Oh, yeah.
I was like, okay, the boys forget tomorrow.
Yeah.
It's like, Groundhog's Day.
Exactly. Like I had a friend whose daughter was playing with my boys. And she was upset about something and she went home and she spoke to her mum about it. Then the mum came over and she was like, like they weren't playing. I was like, I didn't even know. And I think they've forgotten. So
Yeah.
It's all good.
Yeah.
No worries.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. It's all
thanks for
good.
that, but yeah.